Hey, and welcome back to Heartbeat Christian Academy, and we are learning Microsoft Word, and we are already at lesson number 8. And today we are going to learn how to use tabs and indents, and we are starting with some of the common tasks here. And if you have a manual, you can go to page 26. You might have to reread, you might have to relook at this because it's not that simple, but it's also not that difficult, to be honest. I'm happy that you're still with me and that you're sticking it out and you're pushing through with this. These studies are not just to become better at Word, but it's actually to just grow as an individual, because the more you can do in Microsoft Word and the Alpha Suite, the more you can actually do in life, in all sorts of things. Microsoft, as you know, has Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Access, many programs. And in the skills section at Heartbeat Christian Academy, we train these specifically to assist the students to do better Bible study, to do better assignments, but also, generally speaking, to be more employable, because employers are these days demanding that people know this product. So yes, Microsoft Word. What are we going to be looking at today? Before we go there, there's my contact details. If you need to contact me, maybe you want to order a manual, you can do that. And then also there is the banking details. If you feel that you want to support us for the work that we do, we are always happy. Obviously, we have expenses to pay, and all the money goes straight into the non-profit organization. So let's go to today's lesson. And I'm going to be jumping slightly today because I want to actually ensure that the knowledge is transferred. We're using indents and tabs, and I want to finish off with indents first because of the fact that indents are the simpler one to sort of explain. I'm going to go to our second screen, and I'm going to be going to one of the documents that I did for my degree, and I'm going to talk about indents here because it's an easy way to explain it. Is if you look at the top section of Word here, you'll see once you hover over the little top arrow, it says first line indent, and then if you go a bit down, it says hanging indent. If you wanted to just indent the first line of this paragraph that you've selected, you must just ensure that it's a paragraph. You can move it manually to a point. So if you wanted that, it's just for formatting purposes. That might look aesthetically good, and it also might be that you want to focus on the section of the document. You can easily do that. If you wanted to create a hanging indent, you would have to grab the second one, and that means that everything moves but the first line. Now keep in mind, this is a paragraph. So this is a paragraph. The reason being that if you look at it, it's a full paragraph. The spaces are only at the end of it. It was typed. So if you're not sure about the format of your document, you can select the entire text to make sure that when you drag it, that you're actually doing it correctly. That's just a safety precaution. So what have we got? We've got the first line indent. We've got the hanging indent, which makes it hang like that, so it looks like hanging. The text is hanging at the bottom, and the first line is stationary. And then we've got the left indent, which moves this section of the document left. But as you can see, the bottom section is still staying stationary. Again, this is a formatting thing. So if you have like a little poem or something you want to stand out, you can move it slightly to the left or even slightly to the right. If you wanted to use the right one, you could do that. Again, to undo, you can just press the undo button there. You can press Control Z. Again, if you wanted to highlight it and you wanted to move this side, you could move it more that side. And that just makes the document look slightly different. You can also narrow it on this side, then it just looks like there's a bit of text in the middle. And you can even actually use both if you wanted to, by condensing it like that. And again, you are only formatting this section of the document by using indents. So as you can see, that looks like quite a statement in terms of just styling and formatting. I'm sure you understand that. So let's go back to the manual, and let's just look at it there. We're talking about indenting, and we're talking about also using the tab key for indents. Now, what happens with your tab key is that your tab key actually has a preset set on it. So if you in front there, and you click and you get your selector in front of the text, then you push tab, it will indent the paragraph. That's an easy way of indenting everything, sort of the same way. If you wanted to do indents all around, you could use the tab key to do that. Those indents are preset, so the indent is preset under the settings, and you get that by clicking here on the paragraph section, and where you can then preset your indents, but we will get to all of that. You can see there's the indents, the left and the right indents. You can preset everything on this side. We will talk about the paragraph settings and stuff at a later stage, and we will get back to that tab there, but that you can preset. So this should be sort of explained now. So I want to go back to the PowerPoint slide, and I want to just run through the rest of indents using the tab key that I showed you. Create and adjust the first line indent that I showed you, and then using the indent commands, and then we're going to get to the tabs. As you can see, that is what I explained to you in the training on the document itself. The first line indent is the top one, the hanging indent is the second one, and then the little block at the bottom is the left indent marker. And by marking them in the paragraph or moving them in the paragraph, you are only formatting that section of the document. I hope that's crystal clear before we go into the tab section. I want to take you back to the manual, because in this section you might need to refer back to the manual. We've spoken about those indents, but when we get to tabs, this is the section on page 27 I want you to have a look at. That is you can see the types of tab stops that you're going to get. So I hope that is clear. I'm trying to explain it so that you can understand it and actually go and apply it in your documents. I want you to play around with this. Maybe as we're opening a document now, I want you to open a Word document if you can, if you've got a different computer. What I did a lot of times, I watched this on my smartphone or on my tablet, and I would open a document on my computer and I would work with and play around with it. Because let me be honest, after so many years in IT, the one thing I've seen is that you only learn when you apply. So the only way for you to learn this is by actually going to do it. If you watch it now and you walk away, you will never be able to actually remember that and recall it. You are going to have to practice it, and sometimes up to 10 times, 20 times. Do it over and over and over again. Play around with it. Go to YouTube. Watch more YouTube videos on indents and tabs. Learn, and become proficient. You know what happens is, if you learn these skills, it will really make a lot of things in your life much easier. You will see that, because you will be able to create very professional documents, even when it comes to creating a CV to find a work, or just when you're talking to an employer and they want to know what your skill level is in the Microsoft range, you'll be able to tell them that you are confident with the Microsoft Office suite. This course will not, I will say, not be able to give you all of that, but it will definitely lay a foundation so that you will be able to play around and learn more, because it's a learning process. I mean, Microsoft is a huge product, and you'll never ever learn that by just learning it once. So that is getting back to tab stop. So let's go, and I'm going to open a second document here. Just want to move things around. I'm going to close the first document that we had open, and I'm going to open a document that I worked with just now, and I just want to check quickly, and there we got it. Okay, so we've got that. Let me go to the document. Okay, again, we're talking about a specific section of the document, and here we are. This I did just now, just to show you what tabs can do for you in a specific section of the document. So if you wanted to align stuff, what a lot of people do is they type a word. They will type Richard, and then they will say Murph. Or let's do it this way. They will say name, and they will say surname, and they will say address, and then they will use the keyboard to actually space it like that. Okay, and then every time they will now have to actually put in there Richard, and then they would have to go with the with the space bar again and ensure that they're under that Murphy. And then the next time they will actually have to align the next surname right under there. And a lot of times that will be a bit tricky. So that's one way of doing it, but it's a very slow way of doing it. And anybody that knows documents, when they switch on the view here, the show hide view, you can actually see that this little dots means that that's a lot of spaces, which a lot of people that work with layouts, professional layouts, will say, no, this is nonsense. This is total nonsense. We don't want this. So say you wanted this effect, but you didn't want to really use your space bar, you would use tabs on your ruler. Now, if your ruler is not switched on, you know how to get that on. We did that in a previous lesson. But if you go to view and print layout, the ruler switches on right there. So if you don't have a ruler, then you can go and switch that on now. So once your ruler is on and you're back in your document, we can make some decisions here where we want to put tabs in. And say, for instance, we want to get rid of tabs. We can also get rid of tabs. I'm just getting rid of these tabs quickly so that they're gone, because I did some testing in the bottom there. Okay, so there is no tabs in this section of the document, and let's just get that going now. Okay, so I want my first tab to be on the 20 millimeter mark there, but I want to explain the tab stops on the side here. This is a toggle switch. Okay, so this is a toggle switch. Every time you push it, it changes actually to a different option. And if you stand on it long enough, you'll be able to see what the option is. So this is a left tab. Okay, so that is a left tab. Remember, we discussed that. Going back to the document, you can see there it says left tab. So that is exactly where the left tab's at. It's right there. And if I wanted to place a left tab anywhere on my ruler, I would place it on 20. I can say left tab. Okay, let's go 20. Okay, I just want to go there. Say left tab. Okay, left tab 20. Okay, so I've placed it on the ruler there. So I'm going to get rid of that one. So left tab on the ruler there. And then I can say I want a center tab. So this is, when I click there, it says center tab. Remember, on the manual there, we have a center tab. And that means that the text will be in the center of the document. So I can say center tab selected, go on 60. So I've got a center tab on 60, and then I can say that I want a right tab. Let's just look in the manual. What's the next one? Right tab, yes. So give me a right tab on, where will we go? We will go on, select the right tab, wait for it, just toggle it till it's right tab, and then say right tab on 100. Okay, so we've got a right tab. How this works is every time I push the tab key on the keyboard. So if, for instance, I want to get to my first tab, which is my left tab on 20, I push tab and I can say name. Say I want to get to the 61, which is a center tab, I can say surname. And I want to go to the last tab, which is the the right tab. I can actually go there and then say telephone number. Okay, then I enter, and if I push tab again, I can type in a name. If I push tab again, I can type in a surname, and if I push tab again, I can type in the telephone number. Okay, let's just see this for now. Okay, so that and this, when I enter and I use my tab keys, I can do it all over again. Enter. You can imagine how that is easy. Now the left align, you can see that it's running from the side and aligning it from the side. That means that it will rather push the text into the document than to jump over to the next column. A lot of times that's essential on the end of the document. And you can see how neatly everything is aligned. So here we've got our tabs. We can go, like I showed you there, you can go to the paragraph settings, you can go to tabs, and there you've got all your tabs listed. And here you can also change your tabs. If, for instance, you wanted to change the 100mm tab to center, you could do that. You could change it to left, you could change it to right, or you can change it to decimal. Decimal will follow the dot, so the dot will always remain in the center, and no matter how many figures on the left or the right of the dot. And then also you can add leaders. So if I wanted to, for instance, add a leader to that tab, I could add it and say okay. That means it connects it with dots, so for the reader it's easier to see, to follow with his eyes. So those are the tabs that we want to discuss, and like I said, you need to get comfortable with that information. You've got your left tab, your center tab, your right tab, your decimal tab, your bar tab just puts a line straight through the middle, and then you've got your hanging indents, which I showed you the hanging indent and the first line indent. So I showed you that, and there you can see in the document we've got the tab stops, and like I showed you there, you can switch the viewer on there, the show hide view, to see what is tabs, what is just space bar, and that sort of thing. So, well, I mean, it's not difficult, but it's also not easy. And what I found, even myself, is I needed to play around with it quite frequently to actually get it going. It's not something that you start using once. You start using it once, and then you have this problem, and then you have that problem. So I want to challenge you to actually open a Word document, to start playing around with it, to start working with it, to start creating tabs. Create all your tabs, your left tabs, your right tabs. Maybe I'll just take you through just some of the PowerPoints quickly so that we can get to it. The type is your left tab. I mentioned that to you. Your center tab, your right tab, your decimal tab, your bar tab. So those are the tabs, and then your first line indent and your hanging indent. That is basically what you need to know for this course, and it's not that difficult. If you look at it, to pass the assessment, you need to be able to identify that there, which is, if you look at it, it's going to be your first line indent, your hanging indent, your left indent. You need to be able to identify that there, which also, like I say, if you hover over it long enough, it will tell you that's the left tab, that's the center tab, that's the right tab, that's the decimal tab, that's the bar tab, that is the first line indent, and that is the hanging indent. So you've got all of that information. It's easy. You know that you can just put it straight on your ruler. You know how to switch your ruler on and off. So I'm sure by now you already have a Word document open, and you are playing with it, and you are learning this. It's exciting. It's exciting to get to know Word. It's exciting to start formatting your documents. Just imagine how beautiful your document is going to look after you've put your tabs in, your indents in, and you've mastered the art of formatting your document so it really looks professional. And also when you're applying for a work, or you sending a proposal to a customer, anything you do, even if you're doing something in your church and you're preparing something, it's just going to look so much better when your document is properly formatted. And that's why we are going through these lessons with you, so that you can actually learn these things in the proper perspective. So there will be a challenge, and that challenge you will find in your manual. That deals with handling the various aspects and getting to the course outcomes. And then obviously we are moving on next time to lesson number 9. And lesson number 9, we will be talking about line and paragraph spacing. So I hope to see you in lesson number 9. God bless you, and remember to keep practicing your Word, because practice makes perfect, and Microsoft Word is worth it for you to practice every single day. So practice, implement these things. If you don't implement them, you're not going to remember them. If you don't use it, you are going to lose it. So you need to actually implement it and just practice it. And as you start implementing it, if you've at least done it 20 times or 15 times, you will remember how to do it. It will be knowledge retained, and then you will be empowered to actually use this powerful formatting lecture and lessons that you've learned now in your documents and everything and all your correspondence that you handle. God bless you until I see you next time. I look forward to seeing you in lesson number 9.